Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz saxophonist, composer, and educator Jeff Ellwood. We caught up with him on November 23rd to talk about his latest 2020 CD, The Sounds Around the House. These days, along with recording, he is the Director of Instrumental Jazz Studies at Mount St. Antonio College and has shared the stage with the likes of Tony Bennett, Gary Burton, and so many others. He's got a great story. Enjoy.
Really enjoy The Sounds Around the House, and thanks for taking a minute out.
Oh, no problem. Happy to do so.
It comes out during a pandemic. It's a great album. Talk to me a little bit about your feelings on the timing of this and just kind of what's going on right now with the way the world is.
Yeah, I mean, we actually recorded it a little bit before everything kind of went down. And somebody asked me the other day about does the title of the album have anything to do with what's going on in the world today? And when we came up with that stuff, no. But, it's kind of, I guess it's a little apropos as the conditions that we're living in. I mean, how it relates today, I don't know. It's a pretty big question.
Talk to me a little bit about the construction, the artistic construction, what you really were going for with this.
And part of the reason that those musicians are on the record as well is that, I am somebody, I think, musically that I kind of believe in, like, the beauty and simplicity. So, like, a lot of the things on this record are, I tried to find songs that were just beautiful melodies or singable, like not trying to play, and this is nothing against a lot of the other jazz that's out there, but not like jazz gymnastics, you know what I'm saying, where we're like trying to demonstrate our musical muscle, but, just try to play like really good melodies with people that understand about how to make music, how music can breathe, how to shape something out of something simple. So, I mean, that was kind of like the overall vibe that we are going for on the recording. And I think that there's moments where there's delicate moments, and then there's some moments where it's not. So in the midst of all that, you kind of get a kind of a broad range of things.
Talk to me about your roots. Where were you born and raised, and kind of how jazz became your life?
I was born in California. Started playing at a early age, like at age 10, but didn't really get serious about it until later on, like maybe my senior year in high school. I wasn't really good at it, but I knew that it was really the only thing I wanted to do. Never really had any formal education or anything like that. It was just kind of teaching myself and playing in rock bands around the Southern California area. And then, just decided to hang out at a community college for a few years and really try to figure out what this music thing was about. And then I knew that I wanted to go to Berkeley, and I just worked very, very hard to try to get some things together so I could go there. So I didn't come from a family that had a musical background. Nobody plays music, none of that stuff. Nobody in my family since has really continued on with a tradition of it. So just kind of this oddball of the family that kind of followed this path. And, fortunately, my parents were supportive in the journey, which is kind of tough to say, hey, I want to do this for a living. But they allowed me the freedom to do so. So, I just a lot of hard work and a lot of desire and passion for wanting to figure this stuff out. That's pretty much the early journey of it all.
You did learn from some pretty heavy people like James Moody and Ralph Bowen, John Ellis. And what did you learn? What did you learn from the masters and luminaries in the world of jazz about playing the instrument?
Well, I learned a little bit little pieces from different people, like John Ellis really got me to like focus on my time and understanding like how the triplet feel like comes into the music. And I thought my time was pretty good. And then he was like, no, it's not, So it's just like that little nugget. I mean, I think mostly where I'm the person that has probably had the most impact on me musically out of those people is Rick Margitza, and that I discovered him when I was on my journey trying to figure out how I wanted to play music, what appealed to me. That moment where we're all trying to figure out, like, what is our voice going to be? What kind of path are we going to go down? And I remembered hearing him and was just like absolutely blown away. Like, that is how I hear music. It all made sense at that moment. And, I was living in California at that time. He was, it was before he moved to Paris. So he was still in New York. And I was just absolutely like, I had to study with this person, and I was relentless about figuring out a way to do so. And I found his phone number and I called him up and said, will you teach me? And we did it. I had studied with Charlie Banakis this way a little bit, where you send some cassette tapes through the mail. And I was like, hey, can I play on a cassette? I mean, this is a long time ago, cassette tape. And I, send it to him, and he would listen to it and be like, check this out. And he'd talk on the other side of the cassette and like write all of this stuff down. And so I think those like harmonic concepts and a lot of, I think, where I'm coming from as a musician is really kind of a reinterpretation of his voice. It's very tough. I've stood next to him and played, and I just feel like that everything I play, he's listening to me and just like, yep, that's mine. You take little things from other people, but I think the big umbrella thing conceptually is really from Margitza.
Well, and also you've performed with, Tony Bennett and Terrell Stafford, Berganti. There's a lot of names. Now, you're in a position where you can teach younger musicians. What have you learned from the elders that have helped you be a teacher yourself?
My full-time job is also teaching at a community college. So, and I really think that it's where I belong, because I look at those kids and I see myself in them, just kind of deficient, like wanting to maybe pursue music, but just being oblivious to what it takes and having the fundamental skills together. So for me as an educator, and the people that I'm generally talking to on that level, is just really trying to get them to see the basic fundamentals of music, and then to also realize that you have to have an insane drive to, it's a relentless drive to be successful at it, and I've seen it happen in a couple of kids. And then I've also seen some kids that have also come to me and said, you know what, after you're showing me like how much work it's going to be, I don't think I want to follow this path. And in many ways, you kind of congratulate those kids too for figuring it out, because it's a very difficult life. So I think, the most important thing is to just be honest with them about what it is. Be honest with their deficiencies. Be honest with what a life in this business is about, so they're not surprised, and they can understand at that point, I'm going to put in the work to do it. And if they don't want to work that hard, then they can get out and find something else to do with their life.
So why do you love jazz?
I couldn't imagine like being on a pop tour or something like that and having to play like the same thing the same way every night. I just like being able to, I think that's what we all as jazz musicians like about us, that we get to express who we are as individuals. And we get to tell our own story. We don't have to tell somebody else's story. We get to tell our story. And I think that's the beautiful thing about it. and and just the variety that you get in the way that everybody can interpret one thing in their own way. So, I think that's the thing that mostly draws me to it.
So let's say you have a dream tonight and you run into your younger self from, around the time that you were starting to play for the first time, and you could give your younger self advice, one bit of advice. What would it be?
Sometimes I wonder if I think everybody's on a path and things happen at a certain time, but I think for me, I sometimes wonder if I would have, I'm happy with the musician that I am, but I think as musicians we all have deficiencies and things like that we're always trying to overcome. And I hear so many young players today that are just absolutely just jaw-dropping when I listen to them play, and I wonder, like, if I would have put that study into the horn at an earlier age, would I be that much further ahead? I didn't really understand the business side that is attached to the music. I wish I would have studied more composition and arranging. I mean, I feel like in many ways, like I'm kind of just like a one-trick pony. I'm a guy that plays tenor saxophone. I don't double. I don't play flute or clarinet. I don't do any of that stuff. I just want to play the saxophone and express my voice that way. So, it didn't give me the broadest of career paths. So, my younger self probably, I was fortunate in that my life took me into education, but, I probably would have been a little more broad in the things that I checked out, to give me some more opportunities as a musician.
Over the years, I've periodically asked, probably more primarily educators than anybody else, like what the state of jazz is like. How healthy is it? And I don't ever have to do that since 2020 happened, since March specifically. I just don't. I realize how many gigs just one musician has canceled. Have you ever thought about that, being in charge of a bunch of students that are trying to find gigs, and just in general, like, it's staggering the amount of gigs and money that musicians have lost since March.
It is terrifying. And that's one of those things that it's one of those moments that I just think about how fortunate it is that I have a job in education. And really my job right now is I'm teaching like private lessons through Zoom, but most of my classes I'm just teaching, I'm like a humanities teacher now. That's what my job is, teaching like basic music fundamentals, jazz history, all that kind of stuff. And then you got to wonder, like, with the position that I'm in, fortunately, I'm able to catch some kids in high school that were like on the edge of like going to a conservatory or university when COVID hit. And the first thing was like, don't do that. You shouldn't be paying all this money to do that. So just come hang out with me at a community college and take stuff for cheap until we figure out, what the state of the music business is going to be like after that. But one of those same students, we were having a lesson the other day, just trying to tell this person about all the things that you're going to have to do, not even with COVID, on how to like try to make a living. And the kid was just absolutely, he just had no clue on, on what a life in music is. And you could just see the fear in his face. There's a lot of young people that have figured some things out, though. I think we can't really play for people live right now, but I'm seeing a lot of creativity going on, being stuck at home, doing virtual projects and stuff like that. So it's not ideal, but I think some creative things are starting to happen through this that hopefully will carry on. Hopefully, when we can open back up again.
What was the first live jazz show you ever saw that really got you thinking that's what you want to do with your life?
I will actually never forget it. My first jazz concert was the Yellow Jackets. I was like way into the Yellow Jackets, and what was even crazier is that I recorded on a Alan Pasqua record called The Antisocial Club, which was with Nels Klein, and it's kind of like a Bitches Brew kind of thing. And the bass player on that record was Jimmy Haslett. And I was still just like absolutely starstruck by Jimmy Haslett, because like that was the first concert that I ever saw. And I was like, oh, it was just so great to me. So yeah, so I mean, it was like Yellow Jackets, and then I remember another concert was like Sonny Rollins and things. I had a friend that worked at a radio station. He got like free tickets, so I was like 17 years old, and he gave me like tickets to this Yellow Jackets thing, and I was like, wow, this is like really cool. So that was my first jazz concert.
What do you like the best about being a musician?
I think it's just kind of like what I was saying before. It's just, I just like to be able to, I don't know if I'm necessarily always the best person at expressing myself with words. So, and I'm kind of introverted. So I think being a musician allows me to express certain things that I'm maybe not always as comfortable expressing in a face-to-face conversation or with words. And, and I just like the fact that I just get to be me, hopefully try to sound different than other people. That's the thing I like most about it. For me, it's not necessarily about playing for people all the time. I mean, obviously right now we're all stuck at home, and I'm perfectly happy making music with my, playing by myself and in my living room. But, I do like, trying to express some sort of feeling and to try to connect in some way emotionally when people are listening.
If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see a show, any show, where would you go? What would you see?
Oh, that's a tough one. It would probably be, I don't know, I'd probably like to go back and go into the 60s. Like I want to feel the force and the energy of the John Coltrane quartet. I just want to, I mean, you listen to it on records, but I just want to feel like what it was like to sit in that room. So yeah, I would like to go see that.
When we do return, when COVID-19 comes to an end and, we get to some level of live music and fans come back, musicians are on the stage, what do you hope we all realize about this time away from live music? What silver linings?
I hope people realize how much they missed it and how much they missed going out, and again, kind of like wanting to feel the energy of live music, what it's like to sit in the moment, watch these people create and feed off of that general energy. And I'm hoping that there are people that when the world opens up and we have that freedom to go and do that, people are just like, oh, I took that for granted for not going to see more music and those kind of things. So, I'm hoping that there will be a resurgence of people wanting to go out and experience those things. I think it's our job as musicians and entertainers to also keep people coming back if that happens. But I'm really hoping that people just want to go out and live life and experience the artistic beauty that go to a museum too. Just go and experience like the artistic side of the world.
Everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, your students. You're the one that's living your life. Who do you think you are?
I don't know. I'd probably have to sit down with a therapist to figure that one out. I mean, I think I'm somebody that puts himself out there with a tough exterior, but hides behind that because they are probably that I'm probably a pretty emotional kind of persona. I'm not going to compare myself in any way to Miles Davis, but there's something about that Miles persona, right? That toughness that he put out, but it's like there's a sensitivity in there that he would hide from other people, and that sensitivity, that was in there whenever you hear him play a ballad. You can't play a ballad that way and not have those things. And I would say that I'm probably pretty guarded in those ways as well. So I don't think a lot of people necessarily understand the person that I am. Hopefully, listening to the music, you might get an insight into the person that I am. But I would generally say I'm pretty guarded about a lot of things, and I just kind of want the music to do the talking.
Perfect. Hey, man, thank you for taking some time out again. I really enjoyed the album. It's a great one, and I appreciate you taking some time out today.
Yeah, thanks a lot for considering me, and look forward to checking it out.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest cats in Texas, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Jeff for his time, music, and stories. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.